Hey guys, it's Eric with another episode of Enchanted Minds. Today we have a special episode for you. Going to go over a Lay of the Graves build here, the DC that you see in all the videos. And it's actually a super nice build for anybody. So it's 150% plus buffing. You can times your party's damage by 150%, guys. Very, very nice. And it's not gear score dependent, guys. You guys can do this pretty much as a naked DC. I can get you all the way up to 128%. So anyway, guys, without further ado, we will get into this, and we'll just be going over the feats and the powers. So we will not be jumping into equipment. We have a whole library, guys, talks about equipment for each of the classes, each of the builds. So check that out. We will just be talking about, again, the feats and the powers. So first, with the heroic feats, guys, these are quite nice on the devoted cleric. So you can arrange these kind of how you want. She's very versatile here if you want to be a little bit tankier, which I do, or if you want to be able to heal a little bit, or to do DPS. Some flexibility here in the heroic feats. Now the one that I say is a must-have is this healing action. 5% action points when using a healing ability. You can see I have this. It's going to increase the healing bonus from wisdom. I've got toughness. Those are a matter of preference. I like to do a little bit of healing with this build. I like to be kind of tanky as well. You can see here, Holy Resolve. This is more just tanky stuff, temporary hit points. Domain Synergy is not bad. 5% more recovery. Now, it's going to be more useful if you have a ton of recovery. So I've only got like 7,000. This is going to give me like 350 recovery. But if you have like 10,000 or more, then this is certainly viable option. And then this is going to give a crit, so we don't want that. We don't want this. It's going to help healing when you crit. Less threat. We don't want that. And then here, Templar's Dominion. If you wanted to go like instead of where I have points in the tank, you can put these here in Templar's Dominion to do more damage. Now I also have Cleanse for Famebreaker Island in particular. This just removes like poison and stuff, guys. Damage over time spells. It'll cleanse them off of them with your healing abilities. So I rock this, and again, that's a matter of preference. You could go here with the Templar's Domain instead, or put more points into Battleful Fortune. So here in the heroic feats, we're not getting a ton of help for buffing. You got Battleful Fortune, which does help because you need to get that divine energy going quickly, cycling quickly. The synergy does help, and then healing action is a must-have. 5 points there, guys. And then moving on, the Righteous Paragon is where we really excel with the buffing. And the same thing here early on in this Paragon tree. You're going to have some flexibility. I chose to go damage here with this first one. It's not necessary. But this right here is Furious Intervention. You're going to generate action points when you deal damage. So the main thing to know, you say, well, I'm a cleric, I don't deal damage. Well, yes, you do. Right? Even if you're dealing very small amounts of damage, this is going to give you 10% action points. It's not based on the amount of damage you're doing. It's based on how often you're doing damage. So this is very, very nice. Furious Intervention. A must-have really on any DC build, guys. Any DC build. Even if you're, anointed champion healer, I'd rock this Furious Intervention. Power of the Sun, something certainly worth taking a look at as the Divine Oracle. I don't have any points in it. I'm thinking about switching these points here in Astral Fury over to these. It basically nerfs, it debuffs the enemy mobs damage by 5% and their crit chance by 5. So pretty nice there. Not buffing any damage, but a nice debuff. Probably very helpful in Tomb of the Nine Gods. So you see here, Weapons of Light, guys. This is your power share ability. So your power share is amazing. There is a route you can go to actually share it twice. But you do get more damage in this route that we're going to go here with the Divine Oracle. 10% more power for your allies. So they all get 10% of your power just for standing in your presence. Super, super awesome. Weapons of Light, it's a must-have. Then you've got Bear Your Sins, guys. So this is where the hard numbers start to come in, where we start to build up to that 150%. Bear Your Sins. Foes under your damage over time effects are going to take 10% more damage from all sources. Huge, guys, huge. So there's 10% there. This one right next to it, Condemning Gaze, after you hit someone with encounter power 5 times, they take 15% more damage from all sources. So in boss fights, it's going to proc pretty quickly. You throw out massive amounts of encounter powers as a DC. So 15% here, 10% with the Bear Your Sins. I do throw 1 point in the Avatar of the Divine just because it's going to reduce all your cooldowns by 40% and increase your damage by 40%. And we have to go pretty deep in the Righteous Paragon anyway to get these two. That's why we're in this Paragon. These two in particular. Again, the Furious Intervention, a must-have. And then what I did, because I want to be able to heal a little bit, and you're using Divine Glow with the build. So it is a heal over time. I have this, Have Faith. It's 5% more damage resistance for your guys that are under your heal over time. So you and the party, you and the companions, 5% damage resistance. You heal for 10% more. That's optional. And then the Gift of Haste. I highly recommend this. It's going to increase the action point gain for the whole party by 5%, right? Because you'll be spamming Divine Glow. And in higher endgame content, guys, I do sacrifice one of my encounter powers for Bastion of Health. So anywho, this is awesome. It procs like every time that you throw out a heal. So super nice. Now so right there, guys, from the feats, we're basically just getting the power share, and then you're getting 10% here and 15% here. The majority of this is coming from the powers, guys. So the powers are flexible. You can see I use Healer's Lore sometimes when I'm running with the lower level group. But this skill right here, Hallowed Ground, going to give you 20% additional damage inside this circle. So it throws a massive circle on the ground. I'm sure you've seen it. It's yellow with the blue border. It also gives the whole party 20% damage resistance. So it's very nice, guys. And then the Prophecy of Doom. So Prophecy of Doom, it deals a fair amount of damage, but more importantly, target has lower damage resistance for 8 seconds. So this is kind of vague. We don't know the exact amount that it's putting off. I have read in an article it's about 15%, but I don't know the exact number for certain. So if you do, you can comment down below. But this would be what you would have in the rotation for maximum buff. Prophecy of Doom. So 15% there roughly. And then this Brand of the Sun, guys, quickly want to point this out. So remember the feat that's going to increase the damage that mobs take by 10% if they're under a damage over time. This is a damage over time, and it's an at will. So it is single target, but I mean, it's awesome. You hit R2 and then they're buffed. You're taking 10% more damage. Something to point out. This right here, guys, Terrifying Insight. This is why you chose to be a Divine Oracle and not the only champion for the sake of buffing. This is going to put off an aura 20% more damage for you and the whole party. Absolutely massive buff just as a passive ability. It's crazy, guys. So I'm saying with the Cleric, like, you can be an amazing Cleric at low gear score. You really can. So right here, guys, Divine Glow. This is probably the most like clutch skill that she has. Pretty much every single build uses Divine Glow. It's going to put off a heal over time, and it's also going to put off a debuff on the monsters. It's going to lower their defense by 17.5%. So it's another 17.5% there. Also the heal over time is going to proc those feats, guys, the damage resistance and the action point gain in the Virtuous Paragon. So this is just a multiple utility, and when you hit it, when you hit it in the Divinity, it also debuffs their damage output as well. So you can get, that's why sometimes you'll see 2 stacks. You hit the regular one. That's the first thing I do when I get in combat. I hit X, or excuse me, square, and then it's going to lower their damage resistance by 17.5 it starts building that action point gain, the damage resistance. Then when I get my stacks ready, I have full divinity, I hit R1, Divine Glow is the first thing I drop there. So now they've got 2 stacks on them, and then I'll you know, cast different spells from there. After we do that, when we're fully empowered, we use Break the Spirit. This right here, guys, is the single biggest buff that you're getting from any feat, any skill, any item in the game. This is the biggest buff for the DC. So you're going to apply a damage over time effect. So that's obviously going to proc the feat. You're going to reduce their damage by 20%, which is huge. And more importantly, guys, if you look at empowered, we're only firing this thing when we're fully empowered. It's going to give the party bolstered spirit. So it's going to increase the party's damage by 10% for each stack of divinity that you have. If you have 3 stacks, that's 30% more damage. It's insane. Absolutely insane. I mean, that right there, that 30%, if you add it all up, you're up to 128%. Naked, with no items. With no items, guys. Love the DC. And so then this is the last skill that's in the build. You'll want to have this active. If you're not healing, you'll go with the Terrifying Insight, and then you rock this as well, the Hastening Light. So this is whenever you activate Daily Power, all allies have the recharge times reduced by 4 seconds. Now the reason this is so nice is it's not a percentage. It's just a flat 4 seconds. And the higher your gear score gets, the faster you're spamming dailies. But again, even at lower gear score, if you're throwing a daily out, you know, every 10 seconds or so, this is a massive buff. And it's just another perk on top of that hard damage. Right, so if we kind of recap, we're getting 10% here from Bear Your Sins. We're getting 15% here from Condemning Gaze. We're getting 20% from Hallowed Ground. We're getting roughly 15% from Prophecy of Doom. We're getting 20% here from the Terrifying Insight. We're getting 17.5% from Divine Glow, and we're getting 30% from Break the Spirit, guys. So again, 127.5% or 128 if you want to round it, and that's before the power share as well. So the power share, guys, is what's going to top it off for you. That's going to be based on your gear score. So if you're 10K, 11K, your power is probably around 25,000. You know, maybe a little higher if you're just focusing specifically on that. But at 25,000, let's say you're sharing 10% of that. That's 2,500. So you're giving them every 500 points of power is 1% damage. So you're giving them 5% additional damage there. And I've seen clerics with power, you know, well over 100,000 in dungeons with everything procced. So, you know, if that's the case, you're looking at another 20% plus buff there from the power share, guys, taking you well into the 150% plus range. So, guys, if you have any questions, suggestions, requests, comment down below. Outside of that, guys, hit the like button, subscribe to the YouTube channel, The Awesome Gaming Network. And as always, guys, may the drops be ever in your favor. Captain Eric out.